May I request you to remain standing for the national anthem. May I request the dignitaries to please light the lamp and inaugurate the conference.
माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे, इस अज्ञान उदर से, इस अज्ञान उदर से वीणा पानी तार दे, तार दे, तार दे। माँ सरस्वती शारदे, माँ सरस्वती शारदे, सूर्य ब्रह्म शिव विष्णु गजानन जिन चरणों को सेवते हो, सूर्य ब्रह्म शिव विष्णु गजानन जिन चरणों को सेवते। हम शिशु हैं अज्ञानी माता, इन चरणों का प्यार दे, वीणा पानी तार दे, तार दे, तार दे।
The ceremonial lighting of the lamp signifies illumination of knowledge and dispelling of darkness while invoking universal blessings. Proceeding with the conference, I'd now request Honorable Mr. Justice Savtantar Kumar, former Judge of the Supreme Court of India, former Chairman the National Green Tribunal, and Chairman of the Advisory Board of University Institute of Legal Studies, to kindly deliver the welcome address. Please, sir.
Good morning, everybody present here on the dais and off the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who took path-breaking policy decisions to revolutionize Indian railways, for it to be reckoned a world-class, efficient and economic transportation system of the country that provides travel to 8.4 billion passengers every year. During his tenure, country looks for bullet trains from steam engines. A highly respected statesman who possesses exceptional qualities of sharp intellect, probity in public life, and commitment to the universal human values. He believes in economic progress of the country, but with due regard to the principle of sustainable development and environmental protection. Ladies and gentlemen, we have this aweing personality, Honorable Mr. Piyush Goyal, as our chief guest for the conference. On behalf of this university, this august gathering present, I welcome you, Mr. Goyal, to this conference, and I cannot but help to mention he is not only a great leader, but a great respected friend. He arrived from USA at 3:30 a.m. at night today and was kind enough to be with us this morning. Can I request for a special applause for his kindness? I am personally grateful to you, Mr. Piyush Goyal. Honorable Mr. Justice Deepak Gupta hails from Simla, the capital of one of the most beautiful states of our country, Himachal Pradesh. He is a judge with great legal acumen and who believes in inexpensive and easy access to justice, particularly environmental justice. He not only aims at expeditious disposal of cases, but actually practiced it through his career. He is a strong believer of the settled canon of environmental jurisprudence, and that is, when in doubt, lie in favor of the nature. His judgment carried the color of environmental protection. I welcome you, Honorable Mr. Justice Deepak Gupta, to this conference. Right Honorable Lord Robert Carnwath, besides being one of the senior-most judges of the Supreme Court of United Kingdom, is an eminent jurist. Legal principles enunciated in his judgments are looked upon with great value and respect all over the world. Among many of his landmark judgments, he is a party to the recent well-known judgment of the Supreme Court in the case of Miller versus Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He has contributed in various forums while emphasizing the need for protecting our natural resources. In him, we find a great friend of India. I welcome you, Lord Carnwath, to this august gathering. Professor Lew Claesen, besides being the judge in the Belgian Constitutional Court, is the president of the European Union Forum Judges for Environment. He apparently looks to be very soft, but you know, looks are more often than not deceptive. He operates like a huge sea. He really operates like a big ship in a huge sea, unaffected by the rough weathers or the calmness of the sea. His concern for environment are known not only in Europe, but all over the world. Professor Luke, a good friend, I welcome you to this conference. Ms. Elizabeth Morioma Merama, who was earlier the director of the United Nations United Program and now is the secretary. You will be hearing her through the video message. And let me inform this august gathering that she has contributed hugely to the development of environmental law on the one hand and its global protection on the other. Then we have among us Professor Lawyer Tracy Hester from Houston Law Center. He is a person with open mind, but strong thoughts. He has always come to India when the opportunity came. I welcome you, Tracy, on this conference. I really wonder if I need to mention and welcome the young dynamic Chancellor of this university, the elderly Vice Chancellor, and Mr. D.P. Singh, who have worked tirelessly for organizing this conference, and the entire team of this college who have brought this conference to this horizon and make it so huge. I think they do deserve a welcome and a mention of appreciation. I would fail in my duty if I do not expressly extend my heartiest welcome and respectful welcome to the Honorable, the Chief Justices of different High Courts, Honorable Judges of different High Courts, members of the Judicial Services, members of the bureaucracy, Chairman and Member Secretaries of the Punjab Pollution Control Board and the Central Pollution Control Board, regulatory authorities, distinguished advocates, distinguished national and international delegates from 11 different countries, ladies and gentlemen, and most significantly, my dear students from different colleges, law schools, and students of the Chandigarh University who are in large number participating in this conference, and a special welcome to the electronic and print media and members of the press on behalf of everybody. Having said the words of welcome and thanks to all of the concerned, if any omitted, apologies tendered. I would just say the purpose of this conference is twofold. One, to bring to the fore environmental challenges and solutions thereof. Secondly, to bring environmental consciousness and environmental concerns as part of thinking process of the society at large, with particular emphasis on this young minds, the future of our country. The experts and great minds from different parts of the world and this country would share their experiences and guide the august gathering towards solutions for resolving the environmental issues and are today's biggest challenge to the human race. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at some statistics which will give you an idea of kind of challenge you face today. 85% of the planet's timber, 70% of the energy, and 60% of its food are consumed by 20% of the world's population, who in turn are responsible for the annual production of more than 90% of its hazardous waste, as per the study of the WHO 2016. 12.6 million deaths are linked to unhealthy environment and health care. Statistics show over 377 million urban people live in 7,939 towns and cities and generate 55 to 62 million tons of municipal solid waste per annum. Large part of it is not collected or cleared. The Greenland Atlantic ice have decreased in mass. Data from NASA Gravity Recovery Climate Experiment shows Greenland lost 150 to 250 cubic kilometers of ice in the year 2002 to 2006. 18 billion pounds of plastic waste flows into the ocean every year from coastal region. Less than 1/5 of plastic is recycled. We are changing the level of the sea just by dumping plastic. The average area deforested annually is more than 1 million hectares between 2005 to 2015. As per WHO, global urban ambient air pollution, then vehicular pollution, burning of waste, dust, industrial emissions, brick kilns, hot mix plants, burning of crop residue, traffic jams, particularly vehicular, heavy vehicles and two-wheelers. These challenges in the field of environment can be resolved by collective, concerted effort of all stakeholders, including the people at large. India has a country rich environmental heritage, and there exists enough laws for protection of environment, its primary, therefore, implementation which lacks. India's need to be complemented. India's share of CO2 in the total emissions in the world is very insignificant. In per capita terms, it is 1.2 tons of carbon dioxide, whereas the counterparts, other developed countries, contribute 20.6 tons per capita as per UNDP report of 2008. Stockholm Convention, Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol, Rio Declaration of Environment and Development, Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, and nearly 1,200 national, international treaties, agreements. It will be that we will bring environmental protection and harmony to play. Participation in decision-making, transparency, accountability, strategies, vision are characteristics of environmental diplomacy, which is one of the major tools at the international level for dealing with the global environmental issues. Ladies and gentlemen, India is one of the greatest producers of energy from renewable sources. It accounts for 34.6% of the total installed power capacity. The government has target of installing 20 GW solar power by 2022, which was achieved by January 2018. I think it's a compliment to the government at the center for doing such a wonderful job. We have these international conventions, and Article 253 of the Constitution imposes an obligation on us to create laws relatable to international treaties, agreements, and protocols. Our Parliament deserves a compliment for having enacted all laws in this fashion, and we have innumerable laws relating to protection of environment. Efforts are being made, particularly by judiciary of this country, to produce inexpensive access to justice, expeditious disposal, and effective implementation of environmental laws, as that is the essence of rule of law in environmental jurisprudence. Sustainable Goals 2030 has been inbuilt in our system, in our environmental policies. Indeed, Sustainable Goal substantially reflects the development agenda of India, as the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji himself quoted in his speech at the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit in 2015, and I quote his words: "Much of India's development are mirrored in the substantial development goals. Our national plans are ambitious and purposeful. Sustainable development of 1/6 of humanity will be of great consequences to the world and our beautiful planet." To follow these lines of the Honorable Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I request, let's all stand behind this statement and achieve the goals of sustainable development precautionary principle and the polluter pays, which have been declared by the government, by everybody, by the regulatory authorities as part of it. At this stage, I am very happy to inform you that the Chancellor of this university, the Academic Council and the management of the university, to give their humble support to the policy of the Prime Minister and the government, including what Mr. Piyush Goyal thinks, is that they have taken 2 resolutions to forward this cause. First, they have decided to introduce environment as a compulsory subject in all disciplines across the board of the university. I think it is remarkable. A person who is doing the hotel management course must know what is the environment. A person doing management, engineering, law, English, BCom, he must know, because it doesn't matter who are you. You need 3 things: clean air, clean water, clean environment to live. So that is the first, and I compliment Mr. Sandhu and everybody of the university, and you great children particularly, that you have taken that courage. Second, which I would certainly bring it to the notice of this august gathering, the second resolution is even more important and laudable. Oh, well, I can praise them definitely. That is that in the near future, not exceeding January 2020, the Chandigarh University will hold, in support of Swachh Bharat project, a cleaning environmental project of 25,000 students of this university, where they will walk through Chandigarh, Mohali and villages and clean the municipal solid waste in 1 day, and would bring that waste to segregated form and bring it to the plant or the landfill sites. I think that's what we need to inject in this young blood. We have a pathetic story of environmental laws all over the world. Don't worry, we are not a very great exception to it. Everywhere, every country is facing the problem of environmental, whether you term it as climate change, you term it as pollution, whether you give it a lot of technical names like, water pollution, anti-sciences, antithesis, whatever you say. Simple thing is, the world is taking the courage to face the problem, greatest challenge of the generation. And let's try and see what was said first. And an American saying, I think Tracy would make it more plausible when he talks. I would say the quote which is said, "Let that stage not arrive, that only when the last river has been polluted, the last tree has been cut down, and the last fish has been caught, that we realize that we can't eat money. In any case, no question of eating money." This is what the environmental takes. Therefore, let's take a pledge today in presence of this august gathering, international gathering here, that we will, because let's emphasize what is the need. And I'm reminded of the word of Khalil Gibran, who said, "Trees are a poem the earth writes across the sky. Humanity cuts them for paper, so that we may record our emptiness." Ladies and gentlemen, let's not record our emptiness. Let's all make a courage to plant maximum trees, without default clean our rivers, protect our mountains, glaciers, conserve natural resources. Let every present generation give its best to ensure better life for the next generation. Let's all make this planet worthy of better life and healthy environment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we would now be listening to an address by Ms. Elizabeth Maruma-Mrema from the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP. She's been tirelessly working with the UNEP for over 2 decades with exceptional performance and dedication towards achieving the goals of UNEP. Let's have a listen.
Distinguished justices, delegates, and most important, dear students. Warm greetings from the United Nations Environment Programme. Our students are our future, and I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to address you today. I'm very sorry for failing to be with you in person. I had hoped to travel to Chandigarh to be with you, but pre-existing commitments have prevented me from doing so. When my good friend Justice Kumar asked me to speak with you, I simply could not say no. Justice Kumar is a leading light in environmental law. His leadership and judgments from his time at the National Green Tribunal have left an important mark on the history of environmental law, not only in India, but also across the world. Friends, the environment constitutes the very foundation of life. When we protect the environment, we ensure and guarantee that we have clean air to breathe, clean food to eat, and clean water to drink. These are not just nice to have things. They are human rights and are critical agents of sustainable development. Over 150 countries globally have constitutional provisions safeguarding the right to a healthy environment in some form. In this country, Article 21 of the Constitution of India provides for the right to life and personal liberty. The Supreme Court of India has played an important role in interpreting this constitutional right to life to include the right to a clean environment. It is a trend we are witnessing in courts around the world and the one we celebrate. Your Conference on Arbitration and the Environment is therefore of fundamental importance. It comes at a time when India and the rest of the world is facing an ecological and climatic crisis. Report after report have shown alarming statistics on growing greenhouse gas emissions, increasing pollution, and dramatic reductions in global biodiversity. In India and other developing countries, we see firsthand the impacts of this. It is hard to stay positive in the face of these trends. However, I remain optimist. I remain so because I've seen firsthand how environmental rule of law can deliver solutions for people and planet. I've seen the Supreme Court of India apply the environmental rule of law to suspend clearance of an airport whose proponents did not correctly follow environmental impact assessment procedures. I've seen countries in Asia adopt laws and policies to restrict foreign plastic and waste pollution, safeguarding entire communities from a life of hazardous exposure to chemicals and waste. I've also seen countries across the world adopt laws and policies on renewable energy, ushering in a new wave of clean green jobs, giving a sustainable livelihood to countless families. I've equally seen, however, that laws on the books are not enough. The key challenge is the implementation and enforcement. This was confirmed in our UNEP's first global report on environmental rule of law launched earlier this year. It shows that almost 90% of all countries globally now have framework environmental laws, and 75% of the countries have enshrined environmental protection or the right to healthy environment in their constitutions. Despite this remarkable progress, the report equally shows that implementation and enforcement of environmental law remains a central challenge for all countries. Environmental rule of law provides the framework to meet this challenge. When we have well-crafted environmental laws, transparently adopted and enforced institutional integrity, clear mandates, access to information, access to justice, and public participation, we have environmental rule of law. When we have effective environmental rule of law, then we will have clean, safe, and healthy environment. Friends, I wish you the very best of this conference and for the important deliberations coming forward. Thank you.
I would now take this opportunity to kindly invite Professor Dr. L. Lavison, Honorable Judge in the Belgian Constitutional Court, President of the European Union Forum of Judges for the Environment. Sir, may I please request you to kindly deliver your address.
So, thank you very much for the invitation, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start my intervention by thanking the organizers for inviting me to this highly relevant event that will discuss some pressing issues we are confronted with and for which there is a strong need to find lasting solutions in the interest of mankind. I would like to thank in the first place the Chancellor, Mr. Satnam Singh Sandhu, for inviting me to the beautiful city of Chandigarh and to its young but very dynamic university. It is for the first time for me to be here, and I'm really grateful for the invitation. I would like to thank the organizers of this Global Law Conference on Environmental Law and its organizing committee, in particular in the person of Justice Savtantar Kumar, the patron in chief. I know Justice Savtantar Kumar for some years now, due to his involvement in the global programs on the judiciary and the environment. Global programs that are sponsored by UN Environment or UNEP, the World Commission on Environmental Law of IUCN, the Global Judicial Institute on the Environment, and some others like the Asian Development Bank, for example. I am myself involved in that global program since the summer of 2002, when I was asked to represent, as at that moment a relative young justice of the Belgian Constitutional Court and a professor in environmental law, Belgium, at the Global Judges Symposium on Sustainable Development and the Role of Law on the occasion of the Rio +10 conference in Johannesburg, South Africa. That was the very first global symposium of that kind, and it initiated a lot of activities in the form of regional conferences, training materials, and the creation of regional cooperation between judges. It inspired also judges from the European Union to set up their own network, the European Union Forum of Judges for the Environment. The decision to work towards such a cooperation was taken during a planning meeting with UNEP in Nairobi early 2003 by the justices from the European Union countries present at that meeting. It was first President Guy Canivet of the Cour de Cassation of France, Justice Amedeo Postiglione of the Corte Suprema di Cassazione in Italy, Lord Justice Robert Coward, here present, at that time Justice of the Court of Appeal, England and Wales, and myself. The formal creation followed in 2004 in Paris in the form of an international non-profit organization under Belgian law, with Guy Canivet as our first chair and Robert Conward as our first Secretary General. Some years later, the chair was taken over by Justice Lord Reid from Scotland, now Justice, as is the case with Robert Conward, of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. And it is believed that he will become also the next Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. Since some years I am chairing the European Union Forum of Judges for the Environment, And apart from training activities and work with the DG Environment of the European Commission, our main activity is the organization of annual conferences on an item of common concern. It can be about one or another specific environmental topic, as for example nature conservation, climate change or air pollution. It can also be about some more horizontal issues that are of interest for environmental adjudication. In that perspective, our 2018 conference in Sofia was about training and specialization in environmental law. And the conference this year in Helsinki was on the role of science in environmental adjudication. While environmental law in the European Union is generally speaking well developed, the global tendency to set up specialized environmental courts and tribunals and to involve technical judges in the adjudication of cases is, however, only seen in some of the European member states. We can learn on this issue from other countries, including India, and that is the reason why during our last two conferences we had very inspiring contributions from Justice Savtantar Kumar about his experiences as former chairperson of the National Green Tribunal, and of Justice Brian Preston, the Chief Justice of the Land and Environment Court of New South Wales in Australia. I am looking forward to the presentations and discussions during the technical sessions this afternoon. The subjects are, in my opinion, highly relevant, very topical, and mainly of a global nature. It suffices to refer to the Global Assessment Report on the Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services approved by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity in its plenary session in Paris in May of this year. The IPPC reports, in particular, the special report on global warming of 1.5 centigrades of last year, and the very recent UNICEF report, Water Under Fire, of this year. The solid waste issues and the air pollution problems are, of course, also very visible and deserve our continuous attention. I believe we can look forward to a very insightful and dense conference and hope it will contribute from a legal point of view to some solutions of the problems we are facing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Now may I have the honor to invite Right Honourable Robert John Anderson Carnworth, Lord Carnworth of Notting Hill. His Lordship is an Honourable Supreme Court Judge in the UK and also currently serves as the Chairman of the Advisory Council for the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to be here, a great honour. My country shares with India many great traditions, not least our language, our love of cricket, and also our great tradition of law. I've been to India on a number of occasions, particularly to conferences organized by my good friend Justice Kumar, not before to Chandigarh, but I'm very pleased to visit this wonderful city. I've watched with great interest the development of environmental law work in India. Under Justice Kumar, the National Green Tribunal developed a very important jurisdiction, which in some respects has been a model to similar tribunals throughout the world, and I commend that great work. I mean, this conference is very timely. The environmental law has come a long way in a short time. I mean, looking back, when I was at university, there wasn't any course on environmental law. It hadn't really been thought of as a distinct subject. But then, over the years, we've developed. The Stockholm Conference in 1972 really was a very important starting point. And then the Rio Declaration in 1992 produced a framework of environmental principles which has stood us in very good stead. Luc Lavrazan has just mentioned the 2002 conference in Johannesburg, which I think was the first time when the judges came together in what was called a Global Judges Symposium to prepare a declaration on the importance of the judiciary in contributing to the enforcement of effective environmental laws. And as Luke has said, he and I were parties the following year to setting up the European Union Forum of Judges for the Environment. And since then, with the leadership of the United Nations Environment Programme, there's been a series of judicial training courses and programs around the world, and Justice Kumar again has been very prominent in that. We are now facing the greatest challenge of all, which is climate change. We'll be hearing quite a lot about that during this conference, but it is something which obviously concerns all of you in this room and in which we all have a great responsibility. The Paris Agreement of 2015 was a vitally important development, an extraordinary coming together of practically all the nations of the world with a commitment to tackling this enormous problem. Now, next year, I'm very pleased that the United Kingdom will be hosting the COP26 meeting. That is the sort of 5-year-on review of the progress under the Paris Agreement. And that is going to be an extraordinarily important meeting for the future of the world, because unless the countries can come together and agree realistic programs which will reduce our carbon emissions radically, then the future for the world as we know it is very bleak. Now, it's sad that since 2015 there's been some backsliding, particularly the American president deciding to withdraw USA from the Paris Agreement. That won't take place, if it happens, until the end of next year, by which time we'll have had new American elections, and we watch with some trepidation to see what the result of that will be. But it's vitally important for other countries to step into the gap and provide leadership. And I think I can say that the position of India seems to me vitally important. India not only has enormous environmental challenges, of course, but it has the resources, financial and technical, to deal with them. And of course it's in a very special position in the world nations as the largest democracy with a very robust legal tradition. I think that it is perhaps uniquely placed to provide real leadership in the challenges that we're facing. So for me, it's particularly important and significant to be able to come to a conference in India at this time and to be involved, as I will this afternoon, in a session particularly on climate change. But otherwise, I wish you all well, and I'm very grateful for my invitation to be at this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I take this opportunity to now kindly invite Honorable Justice Deepak Gupta. Sir is a judge of the Honorable Supreme Court of India and former Chief Justice of the Tripura High Court and Chhattisgarh High Court. May I kindly request you, sir, to please deliver the presidential address. Thank you.
A very good morning to you, all of you. Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honourable Minister for Commerce, Industry and Railways. Justice Savtantar Kumar, former Chairman of the NGT, and on whose writ I came here at short notice. One can't say no to him. Lord Conworth, it's very nice to meet you again. Justice Luc Laverson from the Belgian Constitutional Court, Professor Hector from Houston, Mr. Satnam Singh, the Chancellor of this university. It's been a revelation, this university, to me. There's a huge campus, beautiful campus, something which others can emulate. And this resolution which you have passed today, especially making environmental law compulsory, is something wonderful. Congratulations. See, I'm of the same vintage as Lord Conworth. When I joined law in Delhi faculty, there was no such thing as environmental law. In 1980, as a young lawyer, I filed my first petition on the environment. And my senior said, "Ye kya kar rahe ho? What is this?" And, but after I filed it, Justice V.D. Misra was our Chief Justice. The Delhi High Court judges know him as Justice Sudarshan Misra's father. And he not only issued notice, but took action. And at that time, environment was a very esoteric sort of thing which very few people dealt with. It didn't bother the rest of us. But being a photographer, a nature lover, a trekker, I was always fond of. I was always involved in the ecology, did file a few public interest litigations, as luck would have it, headed the Green Bench for 3 years in Simla. And after the NGT came in, Justice Savtantar Kumar handled all those matters in a fantastic manner. Today, the state of the environment is really bad. In the last 100 years, these 2 or 3 generations have pillaged and ravaged the environment as never before. What has happened in the last 100 years has not happened in 10,000 years before that. Our fossil fuels are almost over. We have to look at something new. Our forest wealth is diminishing at such a pace that if we don't take action, we're heading for disaster. The time to take action is not today, it was yesterday. But even if we start today, but we start with a spirit that we have to work very urgently, with a mission, with a missionary zeal and a war of pace, then only we can achieve something. We sometimes forget that we are something totally insignificant in this entire cosmos. The sun itself, which gives us sustenance, our earth, are only small pieces in the cosmos. And if we destroy this earth, which as we know it is the only planet as of date as we know it, where human life lives, where there's life, we are, I don't want to sound like somebody giving a doomsday prediction, but if we don't take action, we are heading for something disastrous. We need to understand that we don't own the environment. We hold it in trust for generations to come. And that brings in the concept of intergenerational equity which I'm sure will be discussed in the sessions ahead. Forest wealth by itself is important, but it also takes into consideration biodiversity, flora and fauna, which is part of the first session going to be chaired by Justice Lok. We need to sensitize ourselves. I think the most important aspect is that we need to sensitize ourselves. That this is one environment, and if we don't do something for it, it's going to get worse. It's not going to improve. Let's try to maintain it as it is today and then improve it slowly and steadily. And this has to be done by all concerned, whether it's government, the judiciary, academicians, students, anybody involved with the conservation and preservation of the environment. See, there's one verse in the Rig Veda which really brings it out very beautifully. The sky is like my father, the earth like a mother, and the space as their son. The universe consisting of the three is like a family, and any kind of damage done to any one of them, any one of the three, throws the universe out of balance. And if we damage the earth, the whole universe will go out of balance. Justice Savtantar Kumar has, in his speech, set out the right tone and also given you a lot of facts and figures, so I don't want to repeat some of those. But since Mr. Piyush Goyal is here, and he happens to be the Minister for Commerce and Industry also, I would like to say, sir, that bad environment can never be good economics. It's only if we have a healthy environment that there can be a good economy in the future. We talk about why I am bringing this up is because, in my view, more damage has been done in the name of sustainable development than benefit. Sustainable development was meant that you will bring in that industry, you will bring in that development which does not cause harm to the environment, or where it can be recompensated in real terms. Money is no recompensation for the environment. But unfortunately, under the name of sustainable development, a lot has been done because, yes, we need industry, we need mines, we need to mine our minerals. The growth of the country is also linked to it. But at the same time, our plans for compulsory afforestation have been, and the Supreme Court was also part of the CAMPA, it has been very, very ridiculously low. The figures would be less than 10% of the afforestation was actually done. So this is what we need to do. See that if we take X away from the environment, it is replaced not by X or by 2X, at least by 10X. We have not, while computing the values of the environment, taken into consideration what are their other other benefits. When we cut a tree, we only take the timber value of the tree. We never calculate the value of the oxygen which the tree produces over 30 or 40 years. We don't calculate the cost of the fruit. So many other innumerable benefits which flow out of what nature and the Almighty has given to us. This is not done. And there is always, when there is going to be development, there is going to be a conflict. I'm not saying that there is going to be a conflict. But if two views are possible, then the view in favor of the environment must prevail. If the damage done to the environment cannot be replaced, then there can be no sustainable development. See, I sometimes, having spent almost 4 decades in the profession, I sometimes feel, why are the courts getting involved in it? It's not our job, really. But then when I look back, if there was no T.N. Godavarman case, there would have been no forests in this country. If there was no M.C. Mehta case, air pollution would be a disaster. Today, I'm also very grateful to the organizers to having called me to Chandigarh, because there's a little app I have which tells me in Delhi, I'm smoking 16 cigarettes a day without touching a cigarette. But it's not so good in Delhi, here in Chandigarh either. I'm smoking 3 cigarettes a day. You see, we have become so immune to the damage to the environment that an AQI of 200 seems really good. It's only when it crosses 500 and 400 that we start getting worried, because we've got immune to it. And we don't look at those parts of the world where it remains at 30, 40, and in highly industrialized countries in the world. Small countries may not be with such large population as ours, but the concentration, the density of population is as high as ours. They are managing it. So we need to manage it. On a global issue, because this is really a global issue and we are at a global law conference, environment is going to affect anybody in the world. You see, we can't have Bhutan as the carbon sink for the whole of Southeast Asia. It's too small, but Bhutan is probably the only carbon negative country in this part of the world, which produces less emissions and produces better air. We are not realizing what will happen with climate change. To the deniers of climate change, all I can say is, you're denying what is there in front of you. The polar vortex in the North America this year, where temperatures plummeted to minus 43 in cities which had never seen those sort of temperatures. The melting of ice on the polar caps and intense precipitation. Even in India, we're seeing all the rainfall coming in big spurts towards the end of the monsoon. It's not been a regular monsoon. You may have had a 100% monsoon in the real figures that so much of rain has fallen during these 2 months. But if you calculate, out of that 100 90 has fallen in the last 2 weeks, which of the monsoon which has flooded areas. It was like, I was reminded, this is like when we were students, all these studies you did was when the exams were there. So the monsoons have also become like us, and they pour in the water. Can you imagine? My wife and I were planning to go to a beautiful place near Ooty, and in 60 hours there was 2,100 of rain. That's 7 feet of rain in 2 hours, in 60 hours. This is unheard of. This is a result of climate change. We are now worried. I'm not going to the political aspect or the judicial aspect of the National Register of Citizens, but we are worried of immigration from other countries. If the temperature rises by another 1 or 2 degrees, we will be able to manage it. But if the temperature worldwide rises to more than 2 degrees, and we've already crossed 1.6, there is going to be inundation of our coastal areas and huge inundation in Bangladesh, and those people will have no other option but to again come towards India for sustenance. When we talk, and you see, like anything disastrous, even when damage occurs to the environment, it hits the poorest first. The biggest sufferers are not going to be America, it's not going to be Europe, it's going to be the sub-Saharan region and Southeast Asia. So we really need to look. It affects the right to food. It's estimated that if the temperature rises by 2 degrees Celsius, there will be 3 million deaths, additional deaths per year. The right to health, because of the smog, because of all this, your health suffers. And when your health suffers, the government has to put in more money into healthcare. It impacts the economy. Heat amplified levels of smog, because smog also happens when the heat levels rise. And a rise in temperature depletes the ozone in the air. All these things have to be looked into. We have enough laws in this country. It's not if laws are implemented, like Justice Savtantar Kumar was using the stick more often than the carrot, things do get done. It's not that. Our problem is not the lack of laws. The problem is the lack of enforcement, the lack of regulation. I'll end by only saying that we all owe it, not only to ourselves, but to our children, but to the generations to come, to ensure that we give them what at least we inherited from our forefathers. We generations should not be targeted as the villainous generations which destroyed the environment. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. The Organizing Committee of Global Law Conference has published a conference volume to provide an understanding of environmental law dealing with climate change, natural resource management, disaster management and mitigation. It also contains a selection of papers and articles pertaining to environment and environmental law. May we kindly request our chief guest, Mr. Piyush Goyal, and the dignitaries present on the dais to kindly release the conference volume. Ladies and gentlemen, may we have a huge round of applause. Thank you, sirs. May I now request our Honorable Chancellor, Mr. Satnam Singh Sandhu, to please present the memento to our chief guest, Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Railways, Commerce and Industry, as a token of our appreciation and gratitude. May I please request our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Railways, Commerce and Industry, Government of India, to kindly deliver his inaugural address.
Thank you very much. The most distinguished Honorable Justice Deepak Gupta ji, the most distinguished Right Honorable Lord Carnwath, Professor Dr. Justice Luke Laverson, my good friend Honorable Justice Savtantar Kumar ji, the Chancellor of the Chandigarh University, Mr. Satnam Singh Sandhu, Professor Tracy Hester, Honorable Judges of the various High Courts, dignitaries, faculty, students, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. When I drove through the complex of the Chandigarh University, I couldn't believe this is a university that started barely 7 years ago. I must compliment Satnam Singh ji and his entire team for building from scratch a very venerable institution and taking forth subjects which often are found very bland and very boring to such a level that you have an international global law conference with such illustrious speakers, such illustrious panelists who are going to deliberate on the various subjects today. And I particularly compliment you for making environment a compulsory subject in every course. Extremely proud of you. As Justice Gupta said, he's come at a short notice. I got sufficient notice, Justice, only I had to come from a long distance. But truly, I have seen Savtantar Kumarji right since I became a minister in 2014. A person very concerned about the environment, very passionate in his job, has a great degree of compassion about the environment, and therefore when he told me about this conference and the fact that we are going to be deliberating on the future of society, the very future of humanity, and what the challenges and solutions are towards environmental law in the future, I couldn't help but agree to come. More so because some of the work that we are trying to do over the last 5 years, particularly the focus on environment that we have tried to do, that we have tried to work upon, and then the challenges of tomorrow are areas about which I personally also feel very responsible, very committed. Of course, I would agree with Justice Gupta that bad environment can never make for good economics. But at the same time, one must also have a very delicate balance between the environment, concerns for the environment, and the very needs of society and progress, particularly poverty alleviation, which has to be the agenda of any government, of any nation. And I remember the first time that Justice Savtantar Kumar called me for an environment conference in 2014. I shot myself in the foot trying to suggest the same thing, that we need to balance the progress of mankind and the demands of good environment. I made a few comments with some example, and I really got big flack for it after that, if you recollect, Justice Savtantar Kumarji. But I still believe, and I'll try to highlight why I say this, that it is important when we are at the cusp of development, when we are trying to take the country to the next level of development, to balance our environment concerns with the needs of, or the growing needs of a population of 1.3 billion people. This government has, from the day one, focused on several projects, keeping in mind the concerns of the environment. In fact, I recall when former Vice President of the United States of America, Mr. Al Gore, came out with his treatise, The Inconvenient Truth. At that time, Prime Minister Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. He had come out with his own understanding of the subject as convenient action. And well, while the inconvenient truth is well understood and appreciated, I think it's important that all of us get together and act on this inconvenient truth so that we can truly make a difference to society, to mankind, to the future of our children here. And every time I see the young boys and girls in such large measure taking interest in a subject like the environmental studies or show concern for the environment, I personally believe that that gives me more hope, it gives me faith, and I trust the nation is in safe hands with all these young boys and girls who have taken interest in this subject. ये जो आप लोगों का एक प्रकार से आशा है कि देश भी अच्छा बने, आप सबकी आस्था है कि पर्यावरण भी ठीक रहे, इसी में से कल का विश्वास जगता है। और अगर आप पिछले 5 वर्षों में देखें किस प्रकार से परिवर्तन हुआ है, अभी जस्टिस गुप्ता बता रहे थे कि उनके ऐप ने बताया कि 16 सिगरेट उनको दिल्ली के हवा में, दिल्ली के प्रदूषण में उनको 16 सिगरेट जितना धुआं अंदर लेना पड़ता है बिना सिगरेट पिए। चंडीगढ़ आके जरूर अच्छा लगता है कि सिर्फ 3 है, लेकिन हम ये नहीं नजरअंदाज कर सकते कि 2014 के पहले इस देश के आधे परिवार ऐसे थे जहां पे पुराने जमाने के चूल्हे के ऊपर भोजन पकता था, और उस चूल्हे में जिसमें लकड़ी हो या फिग लीव्स हो, गोबर हो, उससे जब हमारी माता बहनें बहुएं खाना बनाती थी, उसी छोटे कमरे में बच्चे घूमते रहते थे, वो लगभग 400 सिगरेट जितना धुआं रोज हमारे देशवासियों के जीवन में अपने बदन में फूंका जाता था। 400 सिगरेट जितना धुआं। ये बात सही है कि हम सबको चिंता है, आज के पर्यावरण की चिंता है, लेकिन किसी सरकार ने, किसी कोर्ट ने इस बात की चिंता नहीं करी। इतने वर्ष आजादी के लगभग 67 वर्ष बाद भी किसी को इस बात की चिंता नहीं थी कि इतनी सारी महिलाओं को चूल्हे के ऊपर खाना बनाना पड़ता था। मुझे आज खुशी है कि 5 वर्ष के भीतर लगभग देश में 90% से ज्यादा घरों में आज कुकिंग गैस पहुंच चुकी है। उसमें से लगभग 8 करोड़ गरीबों को तो मुफ्त में वो कुकिंग गैस कनेक्शन दी गई, जिससे आज उन महिलाओं को चूल्हे के ऊपर खाना नहीं बनाना पड़ता। ये 400 सिगरेट हमारी माता बहनों के बदन में या हमारे बच्चों के बदन में रोज नहीं जाते। मैं समझता हूं अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी बदलाव की निशानी है जो इस देश ने महसूस किया है, जो इस देश ने मिलके सभी के प्रयत्नों से सक्सेसफुली इंप्लीमेंट किया। आखिर ये नहीं हो पाता अगर आप में से बैठे हुए महानुभावों ने गिव इट अप स्कीम के द्वारा अपनी गैस की सब्सिडी ना छोड़ी होती। ये संयुक्त प्रयास है देश के उस वर्ग का जो अपनी सब्सिडी छोड़ पाता था और उस वर्ग का जिसको इसकी जरूरत थी। और ये संयुक्त प्रयास हम सब जब मिलकर ही काम करेंगे तभी हम इस देश की समस्याओं के साथ जूझ सकेंगे, उसका समाधान निकाल सकेंगे। आखिर जब हम स्वच्छता की बात करते हैं, आखिर किसी ने इस देश में ये नहीं कल्पना की थी कि 3 में से 2 महिलाएं, गौर करिए 3 में से 2 महिलाओं को शौचालय की सुविधा नहीं थी 2014 तक। लॉर्ड, फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन, 66% of households in India did not have clean toilet facilities, or for that matter any toilet facility, until 2014. Open defecation was rampant, and many of us who come from villages, who have roots in villages, have experienced that. I don't know how many of you saw that movie Toilet Ek Prem Katha, where the young couple had to go to use the toilet on a railway train passing by their village to protect the dignity of the housewife, of the lady of the house. But I am proud to say that with the collective effort of all our honest taxpayers who provide funds to the government, today we have 98% coverage of sanitation across the country. लगभग हर घर के अंदर एक शौचालय की सुविधा दी गई है। ये बात अलग है कि कुछ मीडिया के मित्र या कुछ आलोचक हर चीज में कुछ कमी निकालने में लगे रहते हैं, तो वो पहुंच जाएंगे कोई 1, 2, 4 घर ढूंढने। हो सकता है किसी परिस्थिति में कोई 2 घर में शौचालय नहीं इस्तेमाल हो पा रहा होगा, तो कुछ ऐसे भी एंकर हैं, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा पर समझने वाले समझ जाएंगे, जो माइक लेके उस घर पे पहुंच जाएंगे और मुंह में ठूसेंगे महिला के या उस घर वाले के, क्या आपके घर में तो टॉयलेट नहीं यूज हो रहा है। अब शायद कोई परिस्थिति होगी 2, 4, 100, 200, 500 घरों में अगर टॉयलेट नहीं यूज हो पा रहे, क्या इसका यह मतलब है कि जो 11 करोड़ घरों में टॉयलेट बनाए गए हैं उसको हम नजरअंदाज कर दें? इसी प्रकार से उज्ज्वला योजना की बात की मैंने, ये वैसे ही एक उजाला योजना इस देश में हमने 2015 में शुरू की थी। आपको याद होगा पहले जो बल्ब यूज करते थे हम घरों में, पंजाब में तो उसको शायद क्या बोलते थे, बल्ब को क्या बोलते थे, टट्टू, समथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट, राइट। मेरी पत्नी पंजाबी है पर मैं भी नजदीक से ही हूं, वैसे अंबाला का मेरा भी रूट है, माई रूट्स कम फ्रॉम अंबाला छावनी। बट एक जमाने में हम सबके घर में वो पुराने बल्ब होते थे 60 वॉट के, 90 वॉट के, 100 वॉट के, याद होगा हम सबको। इस सरकार ने तय किया कि हम पूरे देश में इन पुराने बल्बों को बदल के एलईडी बल्ब लगाएंगे। एलईडी बल्ब में जो बिजली खपत होती है वो लगभग 15% सिर्फ होती है, जो पुराने बल्ब होते थे उससे घट के 15% हो जाती है। आप कल्पना करिए कि बिजली कितनी बचती है, कितना बिजली का बिल कम होता है, कितना लाभ उससे देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी होता है और पर्यावरण को भी स्वाभाविक रूप से उसका लाभ होता है। हमने जब 2015 में प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च किया था उजाला योजना, एलईडी बल्ब पहुंचाने का, उस समय मैंने पाया था कि पहले इस देश में लगभग 6 लाख बल्ब हर वर्ष बिकते थे, 6 लाख, और उसमें सरकार भी बल्ब खरीदती थी, लगभग 310 रुपए का एक बल्ब खरीदती थी। उस पर टैक्सेस लगते थे, उसकी मार्केटिंग कॉस्ट वगैरह लगा के 500-600 रुपए का बल्ब हो जाता था। सरकार 100 रुपए सब्सिडी देती थी और फिर 6 लाख बल्ब साल में बेचा करती थी। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने मुझे कहा, तब मैं ऊर्जा विभाग देखता था, कि हर वो यूनिट जो बिजली का तुम बचाओगे वो एक प्रकार से देश की परिस्थिति देखते हुए, जब 25 से 26% लॉसेज होते हैं तो 1.33 टाइम्स एक नई यूनिट उत्पादन करने के बराबर हो जाता है। तो बिजली बचत के ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस करा जाए। हमने ये एलईडी प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया और हमारी कल्पना थी कि देश में 77 करोड़ बल्ब होंगे, उन सबको हम बदलेंगे 5 साल, 4.5 साल में। 15 में हमारा आधा साल पूरा हो चुका था सरकार का। मुझे आज आपको बताते हुए खुशी है कि कहां देश में 6 लाख बल्ब सालाना बिकते थे, गत 5 वर्षों में 150 करोड़ बल्ब, 150 करोड़ एलईडी बल्ब्स हैव बीन सोल्ड। लगभग 6 लाख बल्ब रोज बिकते हैं आजकल, जो पहले एक साल में बिकते थे। और जो बल्ब की कीमतें हैं वो 87%, 87% the price of an LED bulb has come down. In fact, when I go to many international fora, they thank India and all Indians. ये आप सबकी उपलब्धि है कि आप सबने इतनी तेज गति से इस एलईडी बल्ब की योजना को अपनाया कि आज पूरे विश्व में एलईडी बल्ब के कीमतें घट गई हैं भारत के कारण। और इस एक योजना से जस्टिस गुप्ता जी, जस्टिस स्वतंत्र कुमार जी, जस्टिस लुक, this one program to replace the old bulbs by LED bulbs has saved nearly 80 million tons of carbon dioxide annually in terms of the energy saved that would otherwise be produced to light the country. 80 million tons. And because of the reduced prices by 87%, to replace this 1.5 billion bulbs, the nation has spent only approximately $2 billion. That's about 15,000 crore रुपए में देश भर में ये बल्ब बदले हैं और इसका सालाना बचत आप सबके बिल में 40,000 करोड़ रुपए सालाना बचते हैं. 40,000 crores, that is about $6 billion, Lord. $6 billion are saved every year in the energy consumed by India on an investment of barely $2 billion. I say all this because I believe good economics can also make for good environment. And that is the mission of this government. In the same breath, we are now focusing on promoting electric vehicles. We believe India has the unique opportunity to leapfrog technology and make the first vehicle that all our young children here will buy. Let that be an electric vehicle instead of a vehicle guzzling petrol or diesel. And that electric vehicle should be run by solar power. So we get solar power panels on our rooftop, generate solar power in our homes, use an electric vehicle, charge the vehicle during the day when we are at work or school or college, or maybe at night when the nation has surplus power and it's available cheap. And all these problems that we are hearing about, that we are concerned about, that we are grappling with, can become a thing of the past. Apart from the fact that the good economics part of it, the nation will save billions of dollars of precious foreign exchange. The nation will become cleaner, more environmentally conscious, will bring down pollution levels, and hopefully all of us in Delhi and Punjab and Haryana will not have to suffer the kind of bad environment that the nation as a whole is suffering today. All of this is possible. All of this is eminently doable. All of this should be done. And I assure you, if we all come together, if we all work towards making our nation a better place to live in, if we all show that same care and concern for environment that we show for our families, for our own well-being, we can make a difference. And as I think Mahatma Gandhi had said probably, be the change that you want to see in the world. And I think it's something that each one of us will have to reflect on, will have to work together to achieve. And I think it will come naturally to all Indians. It's something that's in our tradition, in our very heritage, in our history. India as a society was always a society that was very frugal, that didn't believe in waste. Today the world is talking of a circular economy. They are talking of waste to wealth. They are talking of converting the entire economy, every element of the economy being reused, reprocessed, recycled. I think for those of us from the older generation, you will recall that in our lives, we never used to have any waste. Our parents would scold us if we left from a room without switching off the bulb, without switching off the light, without switching off the fan. We didn't have air conditioners in those days. as much as today. Think of the way the world has changed. Now we call up home, before we reach home, जरा AC चला के रखना, मैं आधे घंटे में पहुंच रहा हूं. And that was the time when our parents would not allow us to leave the room without switching off a light and fan. We have always respected nature in this country. As our previous honorable speakers were mentioning, be it the air, be it the sun, be it water, for that matter, trees, every living organism has been respected in India, has been revered in almost a godly way. If you look up any religious or secular text, it has always talked against harming the environment. Of course, our constitution, which is our very edict, our very being of the Republic of India itself, has added Article 48A, and almost 43 years ago, to talk about our endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. But that is only 43 years ago. We can go back thousands of years and look at Kautilya's Arthashastra, written between 321 and 300 BC, in which out of the 14 books, 2 of them provide provisions for protecting the environment, almost 2,000 years ago. For that matter, the 5th pillar edict of Ashoka also says, and I quote, "I forbade the killing of the following species of animals," and he has given a list of species. And then he says also, "Chaff which contains living things must not be set on fire. Forests must not be burned in order to kill living things or without good reason." The Ashoka pillar says that, centuries ago. For all of us in India, it comes naturally to protect the environment, to avoid waste. I remember in our homes, when you're having a meal, the mother will always say, "Finish everything that's in your plate. Don't leave waste on your plate." And very often they will tell you stories about it to make sure you don't waste any food, any product. They'll tell you that, look, the waste that you are generating could feed a poor child. The milk that you are getting, if you don't drink the full milk, it's a waste that's hurting somebody else in society. And look at the contrast from the Western world, where even if you offer a Domino's pizza to somebody or you order one from the store, the size is so daunting that it's bound to create waste. And for the life of me, I can't understand what's the logic of that kind of waste. But some economies, and Justice Gupta has very rightly pointed out, some economies thrive on waste. Some economies believe that consumption, and particularly the consumption-led economies, consumption and greater consumption is good for their society. Whereas I believe in India, we still have a respect against waste. We still believe in climate justice. And to my mind, that gives me the hope and the confidence and the faith that India will lead the world in the 21st century when it comes to combating the challenge of both or all three of the evils of the world: poverty, terrorism, and climate change. And against all these three, India is at the vanguard of the fight. India is at the vanguard of taking this challenge head on. And I have no doubt in my mind that every single citizen of India will play a role in that. We now have a program that we've launched to ensure clean rivers in the country. It's something we can all contribute to. We can all ensure that we don't become a cause of our rivers getting polluted. We can do small things like just look after our society, after our environment, after our workplace, to make sure it's clean, to make sure it's tidy, to make sure that the waste we generate is possibly reprocessed. For example, Chandigarh, almost every sector, every society could easily set up a waste processing plant. It barely costs any significant money, in which all the biodegradable waste can be incinerated, converted to either fertilizer, energy or gas. There are a lot of cow sheds across the state of Punjab, Haryana, in and around this vicinity. We could easily set up small gobar gas plants which can convert that gobar into gas which can be used for cooking, which can be used for a variety of purposes. There are several ways we can all contribute to making the world a better place to live in. In fact, plastic is one area where we've all been concerned for years, but possibly haven't done enough. The Honorable Prime Minister has requested the nation to at least shun single-use plastic in the first instance. And I'm really delighted at the response of the people of India, of media houses. It almost looks like it has become a mass movement already to get rid of single-use plastic. And I compliment each and every one of you assembled here for your contribution to make the world, to make India a better place to live in. And I'm glad to see that there's absolutely no plastic on the table anywhere around that I've visited the university so far. Please keep up the good work, Chancellor Sahab, and please make sure our students keep up this good work. In a small way, I've had an opportunity to serve the nation towards promoting clean energy. I remember when we came into government in 2014, the nation had a national mission to expand solar energy capacity to 20,000 megawatt by 2022. One of the first decisions that we took was to expand this fivefold, and we set our targets on 100 gigawatt, that's 1 lakh megawatt of solar power by 2022. And I'm delighted to report to you that we are well on track to achieve this mission. And today's solar power has become lower cost than even traditional coal-based power. And that is the future that we are moving towards: more clean solar power, wind power, hydropower, cleaner use of coal through gasification of coal, moving towards making Indian Railways 100% electric-driven railway. Justice will be happy to know I've set a task that in the next 4 years, Indian Railway will be 100% electric railway. It will be the first railway in the world of the size of Indian Railway, with nearly 120,000 track kilometers, which will be 100% run on electric traction. And in the next 10 years, the Indian Railways will be generating enough renewable power so that we become a net zero railway. That is, we'll be generating as much clean energy as we require to run the entire railway network without adding to the emission or to the pollution or the ozone layer depletion, even 1% out of all the energy that we consume. These are the kind of initiatives that we have been working on. I'm sure all of these will collectively add up to transforming the environment scene in India. Of course, we can't wish away our coal-based power plants as yet until we get alternate technologies and better technologies But I must share with you one statistic which has possibly got left out. India, despite supporting nearly 17% of the world population, has barely contributed 2 or 2.5% of all that emission out there. With 17% of the population, our contribution to depleting the ozone layer or to the carbon emissions out there is barely 2.5%. Even today, as we speak, on a per capita basis, India consumes about 1/8 the coal that a typical American per capita consumption is. 1/8 of what the US consumes today is the per capita consumption of India today. In fact, on a lighter note, the amount of coal that we consume in 2018-19 on a per capita basis is the same amount of coal that was consumed in the United States of America 150 years ago. That is the amount of coal India consumes today. So we need not be embarrassed, we need not fight shy of the reality that we also need coal to provide low-cost energy needs that our nation needs to develop rapidly for development of infrastructure, for development of manufacturing, for giving a better life to our people. But at the same time, it's important that we use our coal efficiently, which is why this government has stopped refurbishing any old coal plant, coal-based plant, power plant, which is more than 25 years old. We've just stopped all of that. We rather scrap the old plants, set up new modern critical, supercritical technology plants and reduce the impact on the environment. I'm sharing all this with you, ladies and gentlemen, only to give you courage of conviction and to have the confidence that we are moving in a direction to be able to combat this challenge of climate change. While we still have big challenges, we have the challenge that Delhi and other cities today are facing. We have the challenge of a rapidly growing vehicle population causing a lot of pollution and bad air quality. We have a challenge of farmers needing to dispose of their the waste which is generated during harvesting in a short period of time, and they need to remove that so that they are able to harvest their next crop. On balance, we have a lot of challenges, but I am confident that together, when we all work in a spirit of oneness, we can make a difference. Friends, let's come together, let's speak together, let all our minds work together, because coming together is a beginning. Working together is progress. And being together, I am confident we can move mountains. And that's the big task before us. I wish the Global Law Conference great success, very fruitful and productive deliberations, and my good wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I kindly request our Vice Chancellor, Mr. Satnam Singh Sandhu, our Chancellor, Mr. Satnam Singh Sandhu, to kindly present a memento as a token of gratitude and appreciation to Honorable Mr. Justice Deepak Gupta. Thank you, sir. And may I now request Chancellor Sir to kindly present a memento as a token of gratitude and appreciation in recognition of service and contribution to environment protection of Mr. SPS Parihar, Chairman, Central Pollution Control Board. Mr. Parihar, sir, can I please invite you on this dais? In the recognition of service and contribution to environment protection of Mr. S.P.S. Parihar, Chairman, Central Pollution Control Board, sir, kindly accept this memento as a token of our appreciation and gratitude. Thank you, sir. May I now request our worthy Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. R.S. Bava, to kindly come up on the dais to extend your vote of thanks.
Honorable Chief Guest of this function, Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister for Railways, Commerce and Industry, Government of India, and other dignitaries on the stage, I deem it as a very pleasant duty to extend a vote of thanks on behalf of Chandigarh University, which we call student-centric, new age university, which is globally positioned. We are greatly honored by your presence, sir, and we greatly appreciate your having taken out your time out of your very busy schedule. We also appreciate that you landed this morning from US, but I think all of us will appreciate that for a leader who is dynamic and proactive, I think jet lag is always behind you, sir. When a person is committed from the core of his heart to the work that he or she is doing, I am sure jet lag doesn't come in the way. So we are beholden to you, sir, for your sparing valuable time here. We are also extremely grateful to Professor Dr. L. Laurisson from Belgium, and for having spared his valuable time here and shared his very greatly valuable thoughts. We are beholden to Lord Conworth, Judge of Honorable Supreme Court of UK, for gracing this occasion and sharing his very thoughtful ideas, which I am sure are going to go a long way in providing solutions to the problems. We are extremely grateful to Honorable Mr. Justice Deepak Gupta, the Honorable Judge of Supreme Court of India, for having graced this occasion and shared his views on this very, very important issue. We are extremely grateful to Mr. Justice Tantar Kumar. In fact, we are not only grateful, sir, but we are extremely, extremely beholden to you. In fact, my dear students, we must give a big round of applause to Mr. Tantar Kumar, because he is the spirit behind this function. He has contributed more than that we contributed, sir, to make this function a success. We are also beholden to all the lordships, honors, and excellencies who have graced this occasion, the judges of, ex-judges of Supreme Court, High Courts, different courts, and also delegates from different places who have graced this occasion. I am also extremely grateful to various officials, my own teachers, but more importantly the media personnel who are covering this great function. This augurs well for the university, and I am also extremely grateful to all those who made it possible, this function, which I think is a great success. But I will be failing in my duty if I do not place on record our very, very sincere gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor, Sastram Singh Sandhuji, who spares no stone unturned in providing such occasions to us. Sir, we are extremely grateful, along with all the galaxy of guests who are here, that you have provided us this platform, and I can assure you on behalf of the university, sir, we will carry forward all the messages which you got, and we will be working in tandem with the policies of Government of India. And we particularly are grateful to the Honorable Minister, who has shown his clarity of thought and who has shown, I am sure the energy that the Honorable Minister has shown is infectious. I mean, we'll borrow some of it from you, and we'll try to catch the spark of your life, sir, and we'll try to make things possible the way you are making things possible in the Government of India. Extremely grateful to all of you. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request everyone to please rise up for the national anthem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We would now be breaking for lunch, and post-lunch at 1:30 we would meet at the respective venues for the various technical sessions. Thank you all once again.